There we go.
There we
Hello,
go.
everyone. People are joining in already. This is exciting.
Love it.
Um, yeah, let's while we warm up and introduce ourselves, I'd like to get you probably got an email yesterday talking about how interactive we want this to be, how much it's a chat with amongst ourselves, but with you guys also. So let's get the ball rolling a bit with like some interactive talks in the chat. And we already thought of a question, Amanda and I. To answer, what you think is the most underrated marketing channel or tactic going on right now. Tell us whether you tried it or you just think it works a lot more than people talk about. Yeah, and in the meantime, we can do some introductions. Um, I'll start since I already have since I'm already talking. I'm Miruna. I'm the CMO at Planable. Planable is a social media collaboration platform for marketing teams, content teams, agencies, for all marketing content. And I've been with the company for 6 years. The team is of 11 people. We focus a lot on SEO, on ads. Used to be only PPC ads, but lately it's a lot more. It's social. It's a lot more daring tactics. Influencers. I am very fond of conversion and generally the website experience. And yeah, that's kind of it about me and my experience.
All right. Cool. Thanks for that, Miruna. Looking at the chat here to see what people have been saying so far. Oh, quick. Shiv asks, can you record this session? Yes, it
It's
is
recorded.
indeed being recorded. Kim says word of mouth. Word of mouth is like always underrated, right? Like it is so underrated. I think it's just tough because it's really hard to measure, right? Like it's
Yeah.
hard to track success of it. So that's always tough to
Do you
do.
measure
And
that, by the way? In any
we do
like,
things to kind of measure it. So like we have a couple things in place that kind of enable us to guess about word of mouth.
Mhm.
So for one, we do like well, I haven't done it lately, but at least before GA4, like in Google Analytics, if we ever had some kind of event, whether it
Mhm.
was co-hosting a webinar like this one, or going to a physical event, or us having some kind of big news day, like if Rand comes out with new research, we'll note that on a given day in Google
Mhm.
Analytics, so that if we get a spike in traffic, we can usually attribute that
Mhm.
to like, oh yeah, Rand had this news.
Mhm.
I think that's why we got so much traffic, right? There's that.
Yeah.
We also just kind of look at in general like what we're doing in marketing, like because sometimes what we'll see is we'll do a webinar or something, and then it's like several weeks later, then there's the lift, and we're like, what is that about? And then we'll just kind of like look a little bit closer and see who some of the leads are, or not leads, but like the free users who are coming in, or new
Mhm.
customers too, and try to just kind of look up like where did like who are they in
Yeah.
general, like, and then maybe we'll go back and go, oh yeah, I remember, I hosted this webinar where a lot of the people in it were product managers, and so we're
Yeah.
getting a couple of those people. So we have ways to do this pretty manually, but we
Mhm.
don't attribute it, or we don't then say to each other like, oh, we have 1,000 whatever's 4% of this happened. And I think in large part because getting into those like nitty gritty numbers would take a long time, and it
Yeah.
probably wouldn't even be that accurate anyway. So it's more like
Yeah.
keeping a pulse on things.
Yeah. We always try to we think about branded search and branded keyword volume and how that should be an indicator of the general popularity. But that still is very dependent on the behavior of people and how they, get to learn more about us. But I
Yeah.
interrupted your introduction though.
Oh, I thought we were still doing. I forgot about that. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Natividad. I am the VP of Marketing over at SparkToro, which is the maker of your favorite audience research tool. So we provide We provide a tool to help you better understand your audience so that you can do better marketing. So the insights you get through SparkToro can help you create content that resonates better with your audience, can even just help you augment your existing keyword research strategy, right? So you can use a tool like Moz, Ahrefs, SEMrush to do that proper keyword research. But then you can now you can also use SparkToro to get a better understanding of who is searching those keywords, and you can get a sense of like what are some of the the SERP features that people in your audience see when they're searching for things. We can also show you the popular podcasts among your audience, social accounts they follow, the other websites they visit, all that really good stuff, so that you know not only how to do the better content marketing, but also like you would know how to better focus your digital PR efforts, right? It could help you do some better retargeting and performance advertising on social media. But yeah, that's that on SparkToro. I joined a couple years ago, and a lot of what I do now is I'm a marketing team of one. So a lot of what I do is very much focused on organic growth or organic marketing.
Awesome. Okay. I see we have some questions. I'm just thinking whether we should start with them. Let's go with the flow. Let's start with the questions. Let's see what's happening, because it seems like word of mouth is a bit of a can of worms. So tracking word of mouth with a formalized referral program. Yeah, any experience with that?
Not in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've done like versions of that are like referral and affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
And we're often asked about whether we'll do that at SparkToro, like if we do affiliate marketing. We don't. I think for us, it's a lot. It's an extra thing to set up, an extra thing to track for what we believe is only incremental revenue, right? So like, yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Same.
you?
Referral programs is like this topic that constantly comes up. Like with every new marketer joining the team, someone says referral marketing, referral program. And there's always this eye roll. I think I was very adamant about making and implementing one at Planable when I joined, which was again 6.5 years ago. But I'm not sure about it as much anymore. I think it's less effective in B2B. I don't necessarily have a lot of evidence behind that. It's just more of a gut feeling that when it's not about money in people's individual pockets, they're less interested to chase other people for it. And then if you do it for like Amazon gift cards or anything like that, I feel like it dilutes the whole idea of it, and it complicates it a bit too much.
Right? Yeah. And then it becomes like you as the person running the program, you're chasing after all these things and
Yeah.
people just to make like $10
Yeah.
or $20 here
Exactly.
and there.
Exactly.
Maybe that being said, there are a couple of D2C brands for which I'm an affiliate or have an affiliate link, right? And then those are the kinds of things that I think are super like very, very low barriers to entry, easy to do, basically no effort on my part, where like, right, the kind of affiliate link where me as a customer, like all I had to do was like click on a link and go, yeah, I'll join. And then I'm already in, right? Like it's already set up. I think I probably had to connect like a Venmo account or something like that, which was easy. And then from there, like as the affiliate, if I use like my name, like Amanda 10, all my friends, whoever just I sign up, right, gets 10% off. And then I like to use that mainly so that I can tell a friend, like, oh, here's a discount. It's going to be the same as any other discount you would get, like if you subscribe to their newsletter or whatever, but like, might as well get it. And then I'm going to get like, 5% of your sales. So I'm going to get like $1 out of this. But I do it mainly to give the discount. And because it's easy for a friend of mine to remember, oh, use code Amanda. Cool. Got it. Like we're done. And so I have a couple of these, and then like it's always just a pleasant surprise when like at the end of the month it'll be like, you have $10. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Right. But it's not really like a
Yeah.
goal of
Yeah,
mine to
yeah,
be
it
like, oh,
is
let's get to
not
$20
your
next
active
month.
job. Yeah, yeah. It's just
Yeah.
if it happens naturally, you'll remember to do it, but if not, no. Which kind of puts into question the whole referral program efficiency. I used to work at, before Planable, I was part of Uber, and it was a bit
That's
of
right.
the referral program, it was like the insane for Uber. But there
Mm,
was always this question, and I read a lot of articles
mm,
doubting how much, like, you can say it's successful because a lot of people joined through a referral link,
mhm.
but did they not know about Uber before, or was it just like one of those opportunistic moments? Oh, wait, you don't have an account? Let me share my code because right before you sign up, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's a problem of causality there and the inability to really track it in the sense that that's why they joined because someone told them about it, not because they were downloading the app and some colleague overheard and really wanted to get
Yeah.
the free ride.
Yeah. That's a really good point. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a very nice introduction. We got informal, we got chatty. So I think we can get started with the presentations. Again, just a quick reminder, how this is going to go is that Amanda will basically share some of the tactics, campaigns that really worked for SparkToro, the behind the scenes of that. We will all, together with myself, be very pay a lot of attention and ask questions after Amanda presents, and then I'll have a campaign prepped that I'll talk about, and again with the question time. So yeah, let's start.
Yeah.
You're going in the chat.
Yeah, I was like trying to do both.
Yeah, I
Who
know.
knew multitasking was hard?
Yeah.
Um, all right, so I have a short little spiel here on finding the right co-marketers. Okay, so maybe I'll just start here with some marketing outcomes that I've seen or that I've gotten to realize on behalf of SparkToro. So, maybe a year or two ago at this point, I once collaborated with Clearbit on a webinar. This was great because the backstory for this was I was working on a SparkToro case study with a different client, different customer. And what I like to do with our SparkToro case studies is I like to get customers to give some of their tips or their advice for how they use our tool. And
Mhm.
so this one customer, this was, I believe it's called Shepherd, their digital marketing agency. Their tip was brilliant. Was if you have your email list, right, run it through a data enriching tool like Clearbit or Full
Yeah.
Contact, and then from there use that like firmographic data, right, those things like job titles, industry, and then use those terms to plug into your SparkToro search so that you can get a better understanding of your actual email list. So great tip. I I wrote a Twitter thread on like kind of these underleveraged ways to learn more about your audience and included Clearbit. Like, here, do this thing with Clearbit. And then Clearbit reached out to me and we're like, hey, do you want to do a webinar together? And it was perfect, right? Because we do very different things, right? We both serve a similar type of audience and our tools are better together. So with that, we got over 900 webinar registrants, did really well. Um, Now on the other side of that, where like we had a lot to gain from somebody else joining us, it was this was last year, I believe, when Google Analytics 4 was about to come out. And I think it was coming out in July, right? And I think back in like May or June, I was kind of like, I don't really know GA4 yet. Surely I'm not alone. And so I thought we should host like a GA4 sort of crash course. And, you know, hopefully we'll do really, we'll get people coming here. I have a typo here in this slide. Sorry. So we reached out to our friend Steve Lamar, who's an expert in GA4, has a course on it, has a lot of materials. It was not 200,000, it was 2,000. So we had over 2,000 webinar registrants. Sorry, 2,000, not 200,000.
Yeah, which is a lot.
2,000 is still a lot, right? Even, for a webinar. And it was definitely the most registered for a webinar we at SparkToro had ever run. So we got a ton of registrants, and Steve got a bunch of new clients. So that was pretty cool. 2,000 plus. This year, Rand and I each did a couple of webinars, or we each did a webinar with our friends over at ClearScope. So ClearScope is the maker of an SEO tool. I joined a panel, Rand did a presentation. And with those two webinars, we got over 800 total registrants and 600 plus new leads, like over 600 people who don't use SparkToro, right? May or may not have heard of us. I don't know. But this is awesome because it gives us over 600 people, new people to market to.
Yeah.
And then finally, this one, Miruna and I running this webinar, marketing happy hour, campaigns that worked. Don't have a cocktail, but I have coffee. We meant to,
have
but it's
water.
9 a.m. where I am. It's vodka.
And the number here is wrong too, because we're now at 900 plus.
Yep. So when I made this slide, we had only 800, webinar registrants. Today we have well over 900. So, and TBD how many new leads this gets us, but really great outcomes that we're very happy with, all around kind of growing our audience and kind of our pool of marketable leads. All right, and so we do all this through, or how I find the right, co-marketers is I take an audience first approach, and here's how we can all kind of do this. So think about your whole audience. So who's your whole audience? It's people in your community, right? Your community or your industry, or everybody. But within that community, you have your segment here, right? Your potential customers. Now within there, the smaller piece of that pie is your current customers. Okay, they're all part of your audience. But then you also have someone that I call your potential amplifiers. So your potential amplifiers, they're mostly people within your community or industry. They might be some of your current customers. They might be your potential customers, and they might even just be just outside of your community. So who is a potential amplifier? A potential amplifier is anybody who could potentially amplify your message or your brand. So this could be reporters, could be analysts, could be venture capitalists, right? Could be a B2B influencer or creator, right? Anybody who has that potential to amplify. So like I said, it could be your current customer, could be a prospect, could be someone just outside of your community on that fringe. And then finally, the last segment here is your potential content consumers. I can't think of a better term than this. So if you think of one, let me know. Potential content consumers. So this is people who might potentially consume your content. So the people who maybe they aren't somebody who could amplify or would realistically do so, but maybe there's somebody who would sign up for the webinar, and they may or may not become a customer, right? They may or may not be your ideal customer, but they are somebody who's paying attention, right? Maybe there's somebody who probably isn't going to buy your product, right? But they still want to learn from you. And maybe over time they'll become a customer, but they're just somebody that you can reach, right? Maybe they end up being one of those dark social or word of mouth sort of amplifiers. So this is really the whole audience. It's also kind of anybody, right? So think about your whole audience. Think about when you're finding a co-marketer, don't just think about which potential customers can I reach, but it's also thinking about which people can I reach who might amplify my message? Which people can I reach who might become a really good advocate of my content and just become a fan of the content that I'm putting out? Next, consider audience first topics, right? So here's how I tend to think about it. The broadest sense, what's going on in your audience's lives, right? What's happening in general in their lives? Zoom in a little more. well, what is something my audience needs? What do they need at this time? Zoom in and even more. And it's, how am I, the marketer, how am I uniquely positioned to deliver? Right. So some examples might be like, let's say you're in B2B marketing to HR, like human resource executives, right? What's going on in their lives? Well, it's open enrollment season, right? August, September tends to be open enrollment. Maybe something they need is how to motivate employees. Maybe that's something to get people to actually participate actively in their open enrollment. And then finally, how am I uniquely positioned to deliver? Maybe there's someone in your network who's a relevant thought leader who can speak to intrinsic or extrinsic motivation, right? So there's like the broader need or the broader interest, the need, and then how can you deliver? Another example might be like B2C, right? So what's going on in people's lives? Maybe let's say the target is parents, right? People with kids. What's going on in their lives? Well, maybe they have concerns over like microplastics, right? Like that's something that some people worry about now. So that's like a general thing. What is something they need? Back to school supplies, right? Everyone's kind of thinking about back to school in August and September. So how am I uniquely positioned to deliver? Maybe I sell water bottles and I sell a non-plastic stainless steel and silicone only water bottle, right? Like those are kind of the ways you can think through how to find like these audience first topics or opportunities. All right. And then from there, find the right partners, tell the right story. So maybe think about, who do I share an audience with, but don't directly compete with? Think about how you can share the spotlight, right? So right now, Planable and SparkToro in this webinar, right? We share an audience, but we don't really compete with each other. And we're figuring out how we can kind of share the spotlight. Think about whose offering complements my own, right? How are we better together? This kind of goes back to earlier, my Clearbit and SparkToro example, right? Complementary offerings, better together. Finally, maybe think about, who could I tell a joint success story with, right? Maybe there's before, there's after me, my solution, and then there's after that, the person I'm co-marketing with, right? So you could think about, there are probably more questions you can ask yourself, but this hopefully serves as a helpful starting point. And then finally, wrapping up here, here's how you can use SparkToro to do some of this stuff. So this is my favorite, like kind of quick advice for helping people find co-marketers in SparkToro. So yes, you can do some audience research, you can find potentially really great co-marketers. And like, especially like when you're an in-house marketer, right? You know a couple of like the people that you share an audience with, but maybe you don't know everybody. And I'm sure there are people or brands that you hadn't thought to check out, right? So consider this, go to SparkToro, make your free account and research who visits your website. So in my case, it was, I want to research the audience that visits the website, SparkToro.com. So I see people who visit my website also go to Search Engine Journal, Product Hunt, Moz, WordStream. Okay. Next, this you can only do in a paid SparkToro account, but I'll show you anyway. Research the words they use in their bio. So this is how people choose to publicly self-describe. Works really well if you're in B2B because you can search by job function. But it also works for like consumer facing audiences, right? Like if people tend to self-describe with their interests, like parent, right? Or like hairstylist, things like that. So research the audience that uses these words with their bio, marketing, right? And people with marketing in their profile are most likely to visit Search Engine Journal, WordStream, Ad Age, Backlinko. Cool. Some of these are already different. These are just the top 4 results, but some of them are already different from that previous search. Then export, right? You can export everything here. Export both of these lists or these data points into a CSV, then combine the CSV and highlight your dupes, right? So the green, right? The green cells here, these are the dupes, meaning like these are the websites that are popular among people who go to my website and who self-describe as a marketer. Tons of things here, right? So like Search Engine Journal, right? Moz, we knew that. WordStream, CapCut, Buffer, Sprout Social, Backlinko, AppSumo, Capterra, like so much here. And then start thinking about what opportunities could you do with them, right? Like Search Engine Journal, maybe for SparkToro, we would pitch our latest research to them. WordStream, okay, WordStream is a B2B company that supports content and performance marketing. Maybe I can pitch them on co-hosting a webinar. Buffer, right? This is my friend Joel's company. Maybe I should reach out to his team and see maybe if I can write a guest piece for them or offer a quote for one of their upcoming blog posts. What else? For Capterra, something on the back of my mind, my ever-growing to-do list is I feel like I should start a more formal like review and testimonial strategy. Maybe I should focus here next. Finally, school.com, online courses is brilliant. What I should do, and I'm not gonna say probably, I should do this. I should consider repurposing one of my blog posts into some kind of short free course and hosting it on School, right? These are so many like marketing opportunities. And now I think with some of what I've mentioned, these are kind of going beyond co-marketing, right? Because I have like a whole idea for a new lead generation channel, which would be School. A review and testimonial strategy, that's not co-marketing unless I work directly with Capterra, right? But right, so you can see there's so many opportunities here that go beyond co-marketing even. And yeah, so now I just feel overwhelmed with all the things I did do yet, Miruna. So please help me.
Yeah, I had quite a few aha moments while you told the story. The first one was the fact that when you drew that chart, what I realized is that first thing, naturally, we think customers and we think like if I were you, when I would have been approached by Clearbit, I would have thought, I mean, sure, it's a huge company, it's very popular, but marketers is just part of their audience many times. And they might be, I don't know, geekier marketers or more technical marketers, more sales-driven companies, something, fill in the blanks as to why it may not be right. But two things. First of all, there's still a lot of potential overlap. Then you have the potential amplifiers, which I never thought about, like within the audience. Like maybe some salespeople will join, but also, they have marketing teams and so on. And third of all, I always forget, but constantly remind myself that the audience does, the topic does a lot of qualifying the audience. Right. So like we think a lot about how to target agencies, because that's a huge target for us, marketing agencies. And like, okay, but these filters don't exist, or the platforms, the channels don't really have that category well defined. Right. But if I build a piece of content that says, here's how to grow your agency, it's a lot more likely for agencies to read that. So that was like were my first aha moments.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And then I think it's also a good thing to keep in mind for anyone here who, like, if you might feel like your potential co-marketer like has a very broad audience, like audience base, and you're like, I don't know if it's a good fit, right? You could think about if one of their segments actually is your audience, then they really truly would benefit from partnering with you, because where you could come in even with like your pitch is, hey, I know you sell to mid-level marketers at small companies. Well, my tool or my offering, whatever I do, specifically serves this niche. Here's how I think we can partner together, right? So it's super specific. It's also clear what's in it for them, right? But I think that's really good to keep in mind as we think about things like, oh, I don't know if like they're too big for me or things like that.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, for us, partnerships was a very active um part of our tactics for a while. Then I kind of changed gears and decided we'll do a lot fewer partnerships, but very well curated, well thought out of, well, planned, because partnerships can also easily go bad in my experience. Like either one side gets involved too much and the other one just acts more like a guest or like a yeah, like a guest, either even if it's like a report or something, acts like a supporter of the initiative rather than a partner. So, they don't promote as much, they don't um, brag about it as much. They don't get involved enough. But lately for us, it's been a lot about, okay, we do some partnerships because the good partnerships work. The good partnerships, meaning the relationship between the marketers is great. The sync is there. There's nothing artificial about it. But yeah, if you pick them well, they can be marvelous.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
I also had a thought. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No. I was gonna say like, well, go ahead.
When you had the chart about like think about audience first and what they're thinking about what their needs are, I did feel the need to add, sometimes as marketers we can tend to be a bit artificial about it. Like if I sell a social media software, so what's happening in their lives, they don't have enough time to, I don't know, write social media content. Right, but is that really true, or is that the need that you're artificially thinking of because you're actually starting with the product in mind? If you see
Oh,
what I
that's
mean.
interesting. Yeah. Or even like, what if that's not the problem? Maybe the problem is not that they don't have time, it's that they don't prioritize it because they're
Yeah.
not sure it's worth the ROI. Because they
Yeah,
just say, I
exactly.
don't have time. That's
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, if you're gonna think about what their needs are, you have to be right.
Yeah,
So
actually
just
research. Actually stay
yeah,
on where they stay in the communities, follow the people, and just lurk. Lurking works great sometimes.
I love lurking. I'm a lurker.
Yeah, I can spend days just lurking in social media marketers communities, just thinking, oh, that's what they think about. We
Right,
should.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a question about the SEO trends in 2024. If what are the SEO trends? Yeah. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, I think I think in light of that recent Google API leak, we've seen a number of things that the SEOs have been sort of positing for years. Like I think there is some kind of sandbox, and so that Google can check a kind of sandbox sites to like kind of determine if it's worth ranking for or
Mhm.
worth putting up in search rank. And for years, Google has denied that outright. But I think the leak kind of proved like, no, there is like some semblance of that. Maybe they don't call it that, right? But
Mhm.
there's something there. Um, Signals count a lot. Like people clicking on links really matters, right? So to that point, you could say that, oh, getting backlinks is actually really valuable, right? Because this is like an age-old debate in SEO.
Yeah.
People think it doesn't matter, people think it does matter. um I'm a little bit in the camp of it matters, but so what? Like in the camp of like, well, yeah, it matters because shouldn't everyone who's making a website aspire to have a website that's worth clicking on? So
Yeah.
obviously it matters, but I don't think
And
about it as
worth
okay,
referencing.
right, exactly. But what I don't think about is, okay, cool. Now I'm going to spend the next 8 hours of my day cold emailing a bunch of randos and asking them to put a link in my site. Like, I think that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like, just make something better, right? So that's kind of how I see it. Um, and then the last thing I'll say on trends is I feel like we're seeing a lot of this conversation of, oh, is GPT, right? Or like AI, is that taking away, search,
Yeah.
taking away from the search pie? Um, so far we've seen no, that's not been the case. And we do have some research on this from Rand Fishkin over on the SparkToro blog, where, he kind of dives into this too, where like it is a trendy topic, AI, right? For sure. Everyone in our industry is talking about it, but that doesn't mean that the general public or the general population is thinking the way that we
Yeah,
are. So
that's
what's
true.
actually happening, right? So when Rand looked more closely at the data, he saw that AI isn't really making a dent.
Yeah.
This might change. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next year, but at the moment and for the next maybe foreseeable couple months, I don't think that's going to be changing.
Yeah, we're actually seeing traffic and this significant, I mean, visible in our sources from perplexed AI.
Mhm.
So that's definitely interesting to see people actually using and clicking. Yeah.
I'm just looking up that blog post to drop it here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of SEO, trends, what we're focusing on for sure is basically proving expertise, but in ways that are a lot more um, authentic than they used to be. It's clear that, the traditional just look at whatever the top 10 results are and just rewrite those articles and post it yourself. It's not working anymore. And with the latest updates, so many sites fell because they followed that tactic for so long. Um, and we're really putting the effort into creating original content, like actually talking to experts, actually including quotes, actually, bringing some added value to the table.
Yeah. All right. I think we have like 22
Yeah.
minutes left. Should we dive into your presentation, which is
Yes.
way more beautiful than mine? Sorry for my ugly slides.
Fine. I am so always copying the templates used in previous presentations, and we have very, very good designers, I just have to say. Have to give credit. So yeah, there we go. So basically I'm talking about our analytics campaign. We launched analytics in Planable and it was pretty successful. Just so you have a bit of context, again, Planable is a social media content collaboration platform. Because we had we were so focused on the collaboration side, that's like the differentiator. That's why Planable exists, to kind of allow people to have workflows and to be super, super focused on approving and tweaking content and planning it together. We didn't want to build analytics for a long time. Like Planable has been around for 8 years now, and we just built analytics. Which from day one was the most requested feature. We were very stubborn about this. I still stand by our choice, mostly because if you want to build something pristine, like you want to be the most collaborative tool out there, you have to have some trade-offs, first of all. And, it's a lot about, there are other analytics options. There's tools that are so good when it comes to social media analytics. It wasn't something that we needed to fix. However, fast forward 8 years later, we decided to build it. The market kept demanding it. We felt like, okay, we can actually say now that we're top notch when it comes to collaboration. There's no competitor for complex workflows in our niche for our audience. We are very proud of how good our collaboration experience is. So now we can afford to build analytics. We'll make it our own. We'll make it, super visual, super collaborative anyway, but we won't be the best in analytics. That was decided. So yes, we had to build a campaign about this launch, but the context was very unique in a way that, again, for so long, we were adamant about not building analytics. Everybody wanted it, and we stood, tall in front of that, and we resisted it. And we told everyone that we will probably never do analytics, not anytime soon anyway. Forget about it. We're not your classic social media scheduling tool. We're focused on collaboration and workflow and so on and so forth. And that kind of influenced our marketing and brand a lot, because we never did anything about analytics. We avoided it because it was such a slippery slope that when it came to our content, our blog, our webinars, our resources, never have we ever mentioned analytics to not lead people on, to not fall into the category of social media scheduling tools, and so they have it all. But when you have to, having to launch analytics, we had to basically reshape the brand and kind of like go into the people that know about us and to their brains and unlearn that Planable is not for analytics. Well, now it is. So that it had that difficulty to it. The main idea was that we wanted to, of course, spread the word. We wanted to convert leads, because a lot of previous leads considered analytics to be a must. So they didn't move forward with Planable because of that. So basically, we wanted to increase conversions, of course, naturally for everyone active signing up, but also for like previous leads that we got. We also wanted to retain customers, because, of course, anytime people wanting to shop around, that analytics could have come up. So we wanted to use it for that as well, and upsell, because analytics was launched as an add-on. So it was a good moment to upsell as well. The audience, we have this way of splitting the audience into their warmth with us, like how cold or warm they are. So we define it basically into cold, warm, and hot. So cold audience are the people that never heard about us, and we're talking mostly about outbound channels. So like social media ads, again, not retargeting or anything like that, or Performance Max, or sponsorships, to whole new audiences. Warm leads and prospects, we're talking about the own channels that we have. So like our website, so banners or content on the website, that's what we consider warm leads. We're talking about,
or somebody who like joins a webinar.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And we have their email address, our own organic social media content. We assume those people are kind of warm. They know about us. They've been following us. Sales prospect, anyone that has had any sort of interaction with the brand, we consider warm, and we think about the channels that we can use to target them. And then, of course, there's the hot audience, which is basically existing users and existing customers. These people obviously know about Planable, they use the tool, they tried the tool, or they actively pay, and it's part of their routine. The creative concept was, because it's a bit difficult if you think about it. We're not saying we build analytics like no one has ever built it before. So analytics is like a default. Everyone expected it. So how do you promote it? So we went with what makes us unique, and that's the user experience, that's the design, that's the simplicity of it. So that's how we got to this creative concept of the same delightful experience, the same flawless collaboration, now with analytics. So it's built the way that, in the standards that you're used to if you use Planable. Again, we're not saying it's the most complex analytics, because it's not. We're not saying it's the transformative in terms of insights that you'll get. We're saying it's simple. We're saying that you're not going to get lost, because that's a big problem, like with meta analytics or other tools. It's seamless, which is a word I hate in SaaS, but I use it anyway. Okay, so what we actually did, essentially we had a pre-launch campaign and a launch campaign. This was mostly because we really wanted to find an excuse to talk more about it. And it's hard if you don't have a pre-launch campaign and a campaign and a lot of content around something. It's very difficult to talk for 2-3 months about this new feature that you launched, because there's not much to say. If you just keep saying, we launched analytics, did you know we launched analytics? Now we have analytics. That's boring and no one cares anymore. So that's kind of why we split it in half, to get a lot more time to change the perception that we don't have analytics, to keep leads warm, since like, okay, we have all these people that are now interested in Planable, might as well let them know that this is coming so we don't lose them too. And to kind of pre-create a pipeline for people to test and to give feedback. And yeah, to be easier to market to. So we did a landing page with pre-registrations, with kind of a bit of a gamification at the end, referral program, but only for this, like share, and then win 6 months of free analytics. We posted a letter from the CEO to kind of approach this head on, like the difference between what we've been saying until now and how this is so different and why we made that choice. Of course, the executives, we shared it, the news, and really took a stand. And then in terms of distribution, we had our in-app, users newsletters, leads newsletters, organic social media, banner on the website, influencers, and a lot about our website in terms of updating the existing assets, like blog posts where we say like we don't have any analytics, or where we used to intentionally avoid the topic. Right, the results. We had 1,400 subscribers on the wait list, 3,000 total page visits during the pre-campaigning period, and over 400 reactions on LinkedIn, on the founder posts where, it's easier to get to. This was kind of like the look and feel. It was dark. The branding was quite different from the rest of the website. That was intentional to kind of put a highlight on how this is new, this is different. This is not just another small add-on to the product. The launch campaign happened after that. We wanted to basically to get to actually start to monetize this and to get a lot of people to use analytics. We had the website product landing page, which was different. We had an in-app landing page where people could actually activate the analytics and like be a beta tester at first, and then to activate a trial. We had a masterclass, which was kind of like the highlight of this campaign. As I said, it's so hard to only talk about a feature. And because we were trying to reposition ourselves a bit, that, okay, now we know analytics too, now we talk about it too. We wanted to bring a heavy, meaty content piece. So we did a masterclass of 5 webinars that we also repurposed into blog posts, and we're going to keep repurposing them. We had about, I think, also 1,300 plus registrants there. I have it on the next slide. A lot of blog posts, a lot of SEO efforts here, a lot of announcements, and yes, ads. Kind of the same channels overall, not that different. And in terms of results, we had 330 subscriptions sold. I think this is in the first month or couple of months. We had 23% of new customers also acquire analytics. So we're talking about the customers that upgraded after we launched it. As I said, 1.3K unique registrations to masterclass, and page visits about 1.2K. Yeah, this was the look and feel of the actual launch. As you can see, we went a bit different here. We decided to make it a bit more plannable, a bit more product. Now it's live, now it's a product, now it's not a campaign. It's just part of who we are at this point. And this was the master class. Done.
Cool. That was awesome. Thank you for walking us through that. It's fun to get this like peek under this hood.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do a pre-launch of analytics, like to do the early access thing? Was that always the plan? How did that come about?
Um, we felt like we had to do some warming up in terms
Mhm.
of our audience. We felt like if we just come out and say we launched analytics, it will come as such a surprise and it will also lose time because honestly, it was about that as well. We felt like this is a big opportunity to increase our revenue, and we knew it was coming. We knew the engineering team will finish in 3, 4 months probably. So we're
Mhm.
like, okay, we have all this time as a marketing team to make some noise and to warm up the our audiences and our context. So when we actually launch, we already have the ears open, basically.
Mhm. That's cool. And so for the existing customers, they had to add it on. Is that right?
Yeah,
Or
initially
so
it
what did
was
they do?
open to beta test for everyone.
Uh-huh.
And then we took it out of the beta mode and people could basically purchase it on top of their plans.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. That
I
was a
wonder.
that was a bit scary. Like if we enabled beta testing for everyone, will people then be disappointed? Of course we were transparent, but you know how these things go. Um, but it was actually fine. We were worried about nothing.
Mhm. That's interesting. I feel like what's also could be, because I don't know if it's worth to consider like moving forward too, anytime you have like a product or feature launch, um, asking existing customers to like add it on or like do something like whether it's a click or two
Mm.
clicks to like add on the thing, but then a
Mm.
weeks later actually rolling it out to everyone regardless. Because I wonder if that'd be an interesting way to gauge interest,
Yeah.
um, or like actual use of something. Because then if you see like, oh, like half of our customers added this
Yeah.
on, that's cool. Um, and then
That's
the
actually
other,
very interesting.
yeah.
Sorry, we always do some sort of feature flagging, like testing it before giving access to a part of our audience, and we announce it, but we usually like it's quite fast. Like we roll it
Mhm.
out for a week partially, and then we blast on. But it's not really a campaign. It's usually quite silenced and very one-to-one. Like we email those people, now you have access, but not really the
Mhm.
others. But I think, yeah, that's definitely an interesting tactic to test.
Yeah. Or if they're like free users of a plan, if they get
Yeah.
something for free, be interesting. Um, Kind of a wonky question I have. Just it's such a random question. Were you able to like what types of segmented campaigns were you able to run for like people who churned or people who said they couldn't sign up because they didn't have analytics? Like, yeah.
Yeah, for the sales pipeline, we actually went back and we emailed people, especially
Oh.
because we had the reasons why those deals were lost. So if they were like incomplete solutions, lacking analytics, any of that, we emailed them one by one. Hey, by the way, we did this, but also didn't talk in 6 months. We also launched 10 other features that you don't know about. And for churned users, there's two things. First of all, we did do like an email letting them know, and it did bring quite a few reactivations, which was unexpected because we always try that and it never works. But with analytics in particular, it did work because people actually cared about it. Um, it did reopen a few sales conversations. So people were like, okay, that's great timing. Actually, I want to hear about it more. Um, and what we're trying to do now is send some value. So we're trying to build reports, analytics reports, and for the churn users that, they didn't delete their accounts, and they were recently-ish active, so not from 5 years ago. We're working on sending them a report on their actually on their social media analytics. So like
Mm,
show them with their data how that looks like and see if that captures interest.
yeah, that's cool. So you did do that, and were you able to?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
already reached out. The
Okay.
email reporting is coming soon. We saw a few reactivations, but
Mhm.
yeah, to be honest, like from the active customers, we had less of a response than we expected.
Mm.
And that was a question, like new users are actively buying constantly analytics, but existing customers less so than expected. Our theories is like when people joined, they knew we don't have analytics, so they probably use something else or they're just not interested in it. But also it seems like still not everyone knows we have it, though in terms of a marketing team, we feel like we couldn't say it louder at this point. But we did a survey and we asked like, why don't you use analytics? We do that, by the way, every now and then, which is a great tactic. If you have a feature that's underused, to just ask them, how come? And one of the potential replies is, I didn't know you have it. And that was quite selected, and I was definitely surprised.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I love that you kept track of these people and like reached out one on one. I
Yeah.
feel like that's one of those things that most marketers know they should do, but not everyone's able to, or that they actually do. So I love that you did that.
Yeah.
So smart. All right, we still have a couple minutes left. Does anyone
Yeah.
else have questions? Like I'm sure I have more, but I don't want to dominate.
Mm.
Um, I took a bunch of notes from your presentation. I was like, oh
Oh,
gosh,
wow.
next time. I'm like, oh yeah, like a pre-launch. I'm like, that's a really good idea. Um,
Yeah. I think what we really did differently this time
mhm.
and what we're tr actively trying to do is, and I swear to God, it sounds so simple, but if you just gather all your channels in one place, you realize how much distribution power you have. We used to be very bad at distribution. We just, I don't know, we were too shy. We didn't really have a true plan for it. We were just like, okay, we're launching this. Everyone, you know your channels, do your thing. But when we get together and we actually think about steps in the distribution and you add content and you provide channel owners with more content, more topics, more angles, then it turns into an actual campaign. Before it was like announcement, if you will, on all of your channels. But this time we got really coordinated and it really we felt the results. We felt the difference.
That's so smart. I'm like, I'm like making notes because I have some follow-up emails to send to Casey, our CTO, and be like, can we do this next time? How about this? How about this? Cool. Let's see, friends. Oh, there's a good question here from Amy. Amy asks, you, Miruna, do you know when you'll be offering X analytics?
No, no, there are some API problems there
Mhm.
with their limitations on like how much you can use their API. We might depends a bit on how they settle on the plans because at the moment it's still quite unclear. And
Yeah,
as
and
you may
for
have heard, they're not the best at communication.
and is it still exorbitantly expensive?
Yes, yes,
It's
and
it's it's extremely expensive.
they have
Yeah.
like a plan that's at 5K and then the next plan is 50K. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's
That makes no
crazy.
sense.
It's ridiculous. For folks who are not familiar, maybe like helpful to know before the Musk acquisition, Twitter's API was free. It was free and
Mhm.
open, and it's wonderful to like researchers, nonprofits, indie companies. Um, but post Musk, the API now offers like a quarter of the data that they used to, and it's what, 40, $50,000 a month.
Yeah.
So it's
And it's in decline severely. I mean, and I'm not
Mhm.
just saying that because of rumors. We see it in our data. Like the
Yeah,
amounts of posts published on X and the amount of brands that connect X in general and Planable, it's like a huge downfall.
No, it's true. Absolutely. I mean, that was a key reason we at SparkToro moved away from being a Twitter centric kind of tool, because at first I thought it was because it was expensive and more limited data. But over the course of last year, we were seeing that there were just fewer and fewer people talking about niche interests, and more people just talking about like politics or like weird hate speech stuff that's like genuinely that's not usable from a
Yeah.
marketing or audience standpoint. Like that doesn't help you do anything. So yeah.
Yep.
Another question here from Victoria. She's
Yeah.
asking me about my partnership strategy. How do you determine who's a good fit to tell good joint success stories with? Good question. The way I think about this is I think about can this person's offering be complementary or augment my own offering? Like, is there a story I can tell that's like, here's how you use both of our products together, or here's how you use SparkToro to do this, and then you use Planable to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I think about sometimes what I even do, this sounds ridiculous, but I think about a fictionalized take of what this could look like.
Mhm.
And then just try to go down that direction, and fictionalized meaning like it's actually possible, not just like a random thing I made up. But I think about like, well, what could this truly look like? And that kind of helps me just figure out the next steps. I might also just think about like, um, what's a story you could tell of a really successful customer, and maybe like what does their day look like, what does that successful campaign or the output look like, and then think about who might be some other people or brands you could loop in to better tell that story.
Yeah. We asked our audience too, by the way. We did a survey with segments of our audience survey. We have like those one question, like you finish in a second. And we asked them what other tools they use. And for example, our last partnership was with Better Proposals, which is a tool for agencies to or service businesses to help them pitch their proposals and like negotiate on them, and it's super visual. Anyway, long story short, it was a webinar in which we participated. I participated, their CEO participated, and a mutual customer of ours. So it was the best case scenario because the mutual customers could basically, himself could say how these two work together. And it was super honest and authentic.
That's cool.
Right. We're over.
We're a bit over, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, if anyone has questions like on
Uh,
SparkToro or my presentation or co-marketing or whatever, feel free to drop me a note, Amanda@sparktoro.com. Check out SparkToro. How about you, Miruna?
yeah, Shiv, just to answer super quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shiv, Planable is basically content collaboration. Analytics is kind of an add-on. The analytics part is only for social media, yes. However, the planning and creation part also works for all the social media channels, but also for like longer formats like newsletters, blogs, anything really. It's kind of like social media plus Google Docs or Notion into one marketing calendar. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, where can you find me? I'm very active on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out there. Planable, find it on planable.io. You can find basically any information that you want about us there. We'll send an email with the recording of this as well. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining and for being so active and for asking all the questions. Yeah, loved doing this. And thanks, Amanda. You were
Yeah.
so insightful.
Yeah. It's so fun to hang out. We should do this again. We should do it again like
Definitely.
before the end of the year. It'll be like our happy hour, like holiday happy
Yeah.
hour.
I feel like at this point, after seeing how this went, it could literally be just cocktail moment and
Yeah.
just talking about marketing, and so much content would come out.
Oh my gosh, let's do it. That would be fun.
Sounds great. It's
All
a
right.
date.
Thank you. And thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.